midnight removal vans, a hidden tennis court for Charlotte's killer backhand, and the same drawing room where a king signed away his crown. Step inside the secret property deal that could shove William and Catherine one square closer to the throne. The whisper didn't even wobble the teacup. That's how calmly the equerry delivered it. They've outgrown the cottage. The trucks are idling behind the copper beeches. 3 years after staking their claim to pretty little Adelaide Cottage, the Waleses stand on the threshold of something far larger, physically, politically, historically. And if you think this is just a real estate upgrade, you've never felt the shiver that runs through Windsor whenever the words Fort Belvedere float down the corridors. Adelaide was always meant to be a cocoon, 4 modest bedrooms, low ceilings scented with 1830s pine, kids squealing round a postage stamp lawn, the future King of England washing mud off a spaniel's paws at the back door. That idyll served its purpose while the world staggered through lockdowns and a mourning nation buried its longest reigning monarch. Now George's legs brush the table edge, Charlotte's serve smacks higher than the cottage gutters, and Louis considers any corridor under 15 meters an offense to aerobic freedom. The walls are closing in, literally. So the family's gaze turns half a mile deeper into Windsor Great Park, to a pale stone mansion crouched behind yews thick enough to muffle a scandal. Fort Belvedere, 8 bedrooms on 59 rolling acres, rose garden, lakes, stables, staff cottages, a swimming pool that reflects the stars like polished obsidian, and a private tennis court. Catherine can already picture Charlotte christening with a shriek of pure joy. Marie Claire. But square footage is the least of it. On the 10th of December, 1936, a pen scratched across parchment in the fort's library and detonated the monarchy. Edward VIII's abdication, love over duty, crown surrendered for an American divorcee. The very bricks still hum with that choice. To live there is to wake each dawn inside a cautionary tale and perhaps to rewrite its ending. Cosmopolitan. Insiders swear the property hunt began discreetly last winter. William prowled the Belvedere paddocks with a surveyor at dawn, counting oak trunks between perimeter and press lenses. Catherine paced the walled rose garden, checking sun angles for afternoon homework sessions. Aides measured the distance from playroom to panic room while Louis lobbed acorns at a flock of indifferent geese. No press were tipped. The equerry who leaked the tennis court line did so only because Charlotte's grin had apparently split him like a cracked teapot. Alternatives appeared and evaporated. Royal Lodge. 30 rooms, regal bones, but Prince Andrew clings to it like ivy, and neither king nor treasury relishes the optics of eviction. A private wing inside Windsor Castle? Logistically perfect, emotionally a fishbowl. The children would learn algebra under stone vaults while tourists trailed 30 feet below. If you think Catherine is swapping garden crickets for hoverphone chatter, you haven't watched her mama bare eyes when flashguns pop. Fort Belvedere, by contrast, is both stage and sanctuary. Crest the rise and the facade looks like a miniature castle. Step inside and you find fireplaces low enough for hot chocolate storytelling. Staff cottages keep security tight yet unobtrusive. The lake offers paddleboarding anonymity. The greenhouse could host Charlotte's horticulture lessons while Louis races the terriers round the paddocks. Above all, the tennis court. A private asphalt promise that the princess may never again have to book public club slots where smartphone lenses lurk. Skeptics murmur about optics, another mansion while Britons juggle energy bills. But look closer and you'll see strategy, not excess. Each address in the Wales portfolio plays a role. Anmer Hall anchors them to Norfolk's coastal commons, Lwyneywormd roots them in Welsh soil, Tamen Agar slips them into Balmoral pine silence, Kensington remains the London command post, Adelaide will morph into a base camp for staff or perhaps a launchpad for George's teenage independence. Belvedere slots into the jigsaw as HQ in waiting, spacious enough for a full private secretary wing, discreet enough for midnight calls with Downing Street or Canberra, resonant enough to remind every visitor, ambassador or influencer that history drapes these walls like velvet. And history matters right now. Charles's chemo schedule flickers green and amber on the royal rota, duties migrate accordingly. In July alone the Waleses fronted homelessness strategy sessions, stitched horticultural therapy into NHS morale, soothed Parisian protocol officers with Dior-tinted diplomacy, and still found bandwidth to cheer centre court while George practiced air-level restraint and Charlotte's ponytail whipped the tabloids into GIF ecstasy. That workload suggests tomorrow's monarchy rehearsing at full dress. The actors need a stage roomy enough for both crown and car seats. Belvedere is that stage. Yet ghosts linger. Edward's abdication equates the house with flight, not fortitude. William knows. Catherine knows. The solution? Inversion. Live there as the anti-abdication couple, duty before indulgence, family before impulse. Picture Christmas Eve 2 years hence, choir voices drifting across the lake, the king, if still reigning, arriving for supper, the walls that once witnessed retreat now echoing continuity. That is narrative alchemy the palace's best spin doctors can't buy, only residency can conjure it. Sources tell me the paperwork is drafted, pending only a delicate nod from Crown Estate accountants and the small matter of who funds the roof restoration. Those diamond pane windows don't glaze themselves, and the swimming pool filter predates Spotify. If budget quibbles stall approval, expect a philanthropic anonymous benefactor to cover the gap. Translation: a trust linked to a certain grandmother's inheritance, earmarked for family infrastructure. Behind the property chessboard rumbles another motive, the children's psychological runway. George is months away from the boarding school decision. Charlotte's competitive streak needs space to burn calories away from smartphone scoreboards. Louis requires paddocks wide enough to dilute 5-year-old rocket fuel. Fort Belvedere's acreage buys that breathing room and grants the parents something priceless, a horizon uncluttered by paparazzi ladders. Catherine, ever the strategist, has apparently mapped the commute to Eton, 16 minutes, the Pony Club, 12, and Windsor Station, 10, for fast hookups to London when national duty calls. William walked the woodland perimeter at dawn, calculating drone no-fly zones and tracing a jogging loop that skirts the lake twice before breakfast. They are already living there in their heads, the body move is mere administration. Still, nothing leaks from Windsor without purpose. The whisper reached the Daily Mail, then Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, Town and Country, each outlet painting the same picture. A Gothic revival mansion perfect for a princess who serves volleys like she serves state dinners. The palace neither confirms nor denies, letting rumor prime the public palate. When the moving vans finally roll, the hashtags will have done half the acceptance work. Marie Claire. Cosmopolitan. Think, too, of symbolism. Edward's abdication birthed Elizabeth's reign. Belvedere, in royal myth, is where one era died so another could be born. By raising their children inside those walls, William and Catherine forge a living redemption arc, from abdication to dedication. The crown passes not through blood alone but through example etched in stone. Future documentaries will splice black and white abdication footage with Charlotte's matchpoint fist pump. Historians will call it the Belvedere reversal. Will it happen? The smart money says yes, though palace calendars move on geologic time. One footnote could derail the deal: the king's health. Should treatments lighten and Charles reclaim fuller workload, urgency dips. But doctors whisper that energy ebbs in tides, not hurricanes, and a Regency-ready residence is prudent regardless. The Waleses, ever dutiful, prepare for every timeline. So here we stand, removal vans topped, pens uncapped, tennis net coiled like a promise. If William signs the lease, he won't be repeating history but re-engineering it, turning a house synonymous with surrender into one synonymous with succession. And if Princess Charlotte smashes her first ace across that private court while cameras drone above the tree line in frustration, remember the moment. That echo of felt on strings will mark the Wales era finding its full stride. But that's only my vantage from the corridor shadows. What do you see in the Belvedere blueprint, a savvy strategic pivot or an overlavish indulgence? Will those storied walls steady the monarchy's future or remind it daily of past fragility? Tell me below. I refresh comments between briefing memos. While you're scrolling, volley a like into the algorithm, subscribe for unfiltered palace intel, and ring the bell so the next whisper reaches you before it reaches Fleet Street. Somewhere beyond the cedars, a swan carves moonlight off the lake and settles near the boathouse. The house watches, patient, remembering a king's farewell and awaiting a family's fresh hello. History holds its breath. Let's exhale together when the gate finally swings wide.